Hey everyone, I hope y'all are having a great day, and today I'm bringing you a very magical unboxing. So you probably know what's in this box. I know what's in this box. Everyone and their mother has already read the book that's in this box, but I haven't, and it's here. I can open it and I can finally read it because I finished reading my summer reading, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to open this. But first, I don't think I'm quite dressed for the occasion. Much better. So I have the box, I have scissors, I'm dressed, and I'm ready. Cut away from yourself. Cut away from yourself, and then just forget about it and cut towards yourself. So the box has been aloha mora'd, and now what is inside? It is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, Parts 1 and 2, based on an original news story by J.K. Rowling, John Tiffany, and Jack Thorne, a new play by Jack Thorne. So this was sent to me by Scholastic. Thank you so much, Scholastic. I had no idea that this was coming, and it was such a surprise, and I'm so happy to get it because I was on vacation during the release, so I couldn't go to like a midnight release party and get it immediately. I'm so happy to have this book in my hands, and I can't believe that it exists. But yeah, that is it for the unboxing portion. Moving on to the review. Hey everyone, I hope y'all are having a great day, and today I'll be reviewing Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And this is really belated. I finished reading this before I came to college, but that was over 3 weeks ago, so I don't really have an excuse. Actually, this is my second time recording this. The first time I recorded it and then I went to edit it and I realized that I had food stuck in my teeth, and I was like, I can't use that, so here we are again. So Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, as you probably know, is kind of like the 8th Harry Potter book, and although J.K. Rowling didn't write this word for word, she did contribute to it and she approves of it, as you can probably gather from the fact that her name is on the cover. And it's a play, it's a production that's being put on in London right now, and although I haven't seen the play, I've read the rehearsal script, which is what this book is, and hopefully when the play disperses across the globe, I'll be able to catch a performance of it somewhere here in America. Now, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is a rehearsal script of a play and not a novel. And I don't think I've ever reviewed a play just in general, like ever in my life, but I especially have never reviewed a play on this channel. I haven't read that many plays to begin with, but I have read some for a theater class that I took. So, you know, like plays like A Streetcar Named Desire, things like that. And I've also read, you know, like more, I guess, typically literary plays like Shakespeare for English class, or like Chekhov. So in my limited experience of reading plays, I still recognize that you can't really review a play based on just its script, because that's only like half the story. So much of it comes from an actual performance when everything is brought to life and there are the different elements of, you know, putting a production on in theater. And of course, the way you hear an actor say a line compared to how you're just reading it in your head is so different. It's so different. So even though I know it's not very fair to review this as it is with a rehearsal script without seeing the production, it's what I'm going to do, and yeah, let's just move on with it. So The Cursed Child is mainly about Ginny and Harry's middle child, which is Albus Severus Potter, and his adventures with his newfound friend, Scorpius Malfoy, aka Draco Malfoy's child. So this story is outlandish, and it's strange, and it's entertaining, yes, but it also is so out there, you know. I just could not help but have to force myself to suspend my disbelief while I was reading this, because it didn't feel real to me. Like, I know it's in Harry Potter canon, and my brain recognizes that it is, but my heart just refused to believe that. I know a lot of people have said this, like on Twitter. I haven't watched any reviews of this, and I haven't read any reviews of this, but I've seen like people's reactions of it on Twitter, so I've seen people say this, and I cannot help but agree, but it really does feel like fanfiction. In case you don't want to know about the plot, I won't go into it. I didn't know much about the plot before I went into it. I know that the Daily Beast posted spoilers for the play before this came out, and a lot of people read that, but I didn't. I restrained myself. It's difficult to summarize how I felt about The Cursed Child. I feel kind of ambivalent towards it, and I feel like if I really wanted to, I could pretend that it wasn't a part of Harry Potter canon. Instead of an 8th Harry Potter book, it feels more like a novella that sometimes an author will put into their series that isn't really necessary for the actual series. Like, it's not required reading to understand what's going on in the main series, but it's just kind of there for the fans who want something extra. That's what this feels more like to me. Just to clarify, I didn't hate reading it. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was engaging. There was always something going on. It's not like the plot was lacking, because there were plenty of exciting moments, but I just personally didn't feel a connection with either Albus or Scorpius. So although crazy things were going on with them, I didn't necessarily feel compelled to continue reading, and so I would frequently put down the book after a scene or two. Oh, and sometimes the dialogue was just so jarring. I could not imagine J.K. Rowling's characters actually saying some of these words. Speaking of things that I couldn't imagine, I can't imagine saying this as a play. Like, obviously it is, it exists, and I'm sure it's amazing. But, like, there's so many spells and there's so many magical elements that still remain in the story, and I am having difficulty imagining how these people on production are creating these effects on the stage, because it's not like they can go in and like digitally add things like you can in a movie. So I would just love to see how some of these magical elements come alive on the stage. Anyway, back to the writing. The dialogue wasn't the best, but it also wasn't really that bad. But what was kind of bad were the descriptions, like the stage directions. They went beyond just being stage directions, and sometimes they went into like full description mode, and sometimes what was written in those descriptions were just really, really weird. It was strange stuff. So overall, The Cursed Child was a strange read. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't, and it was bad, but it wasn't. And I know I should be more articulate in a review, but I am having such difficulty pinpointing what I feel for this book that I'm just giving you like thought vomit. So I'm going to go into specifics, aka spoilers. So if you haven't read this and you don't want to be spoiled, then I would advise leaving in 3, 2, 1, bye. Okay, so I never would have imagined that Albus was a lonely and bitter child. Like, I could never imagine Harry Potter's family being anything less than like pretty perfect. There's something about Harry's character. If you've seen my top 5 Harry Potter characters video, then you know that Harry Potter is my favorite character in the Harry Potter series. So I find it so difficult to believe that Harry would be a bad father, especially because he knows how hard the effects of not having a father there with him are, and so he knows the effects of bad fatherhood or absent fatherhood, and it's exactly that makes him a bad father. Like, he didn't have role models to look up to, and he doesn't know exactly what he's doing because he didn't have a dad. But in my opinion, that would make him a stronger father than a worse father. And also, he totally had so many role models. Of course, he didn't have James in particular with him, his actual biological father, but he had so many, like, father, grandfather, uncle figures in his life. Like, he had Dumbledore. I mean, obviously that one's a little controversial, but he had Dumbledore, and he had Hagrid, and he had Lupin, and he had Sirius, and he had so many characters that were rooting for him and supporting him. When he said that he didn't have like role models to look up to as a child, I was like, excuse me? What? Like, I get what he was saying, but also it was kind of wrong. Scorpius was precious, and I really, really liked him. As I mentioned before, I didn't have like an emotional connection with him, but he was my favorite of like the next generation characters. To be honest, I was really bitter about Albus being bitter because, like I mentioned before, I love Harry, so any character that doesn't like Harry, I'm just immediately kind of put off by. But Scorpius was honestly just so sweet and so nerdy. He was like a smaller, less feisty version of Hermione, I think. And for the longest time, until like the very end with his date with Rose scene, I thought Scorpius was gay and into Albus. I feel like that was a thing, but then they canceled it out at the end. I don't really know. I mean, I like the idea of Draco's child being into Hermione and Ron's child, especially because Draco spent so much of his childhood tormenting these two in particular. But like, it almost feels like a bunch of like fan service, like they're pandering to the fans. So it's been like a month basically since I read this book, so I don't necessarily remember all the specifics of it, but I definitely remember my general impression was that I could not believe what I was reading. Like, I could not believe that Voldemort had a daughter with Bellatrix. Like, can you believe that? Can you? I can't. I just, in no world, in no alternate universe in my brain can I imagine Voldemort having a daughter. It felt like fan fiction, but not only did it feel like fan fiction, but that part in particular felt like crack fic, you know? Like, I've read the play, and I know that J.K. Rowling approves of this stuff, but I still have such a difficult time swallowing this pill. I really wish I knew how the creators came up with this storyline. I wish I was in the room where it happened and I was with them and I got to see who contributed what ideas and what J.K. Rowling's reactions were to all of these ideas. The time turner plotline and like the appearance of all these different time turners, it felt kind of like a deus ex machina, if I'm even pronouncing that right. Like, sure, some things were set up in the very beginning, like the love potion being spilled on the blanket, although that was kind of contrived, you know. But like, at least those were set up earlier, but just time turners in general, that entire time turner plotline felt too neat by the end. The thing that I've been trying to reiterate over and over again in this review is that I don't have the words to describe my thoughts or my criticisms of this play because I'm just at a loss. Again, I didn't love it. I wanted to, but I didn't. I really, really did not love this. But I didn't hate it either. Like, it wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. Like, it doesn't make me angry. Like, I've seen a lot of people who are angry. I'm not angry. I'm just kind of like, does this really exist? Do I really want to accept this in my Harry Potter canon? I think I'm just gonna pretend that it's not part of the main series, that it's just like an additional side project that was made for fun, and that we, as readers, have the decision to adopt it into our canon or not. Because I think I'm gonna choose not to adopt it. It was just so weird, and it completely skews my perception of characters after. Like, it skews my perception of Voldemort and Bellatrix, that they had a child together. Like, can you imagine Bellatrix Lestrange, like, being pregnant for 9 months, carrying a child? Like, what? Anyway, I wish that this review were more detailed and more critical, because I feel like overall I've just conveyed a sense of general confusion, and that's not much of a review, but this time I just don't have the words. So those are my jumbled up thoughts on Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I'd love to know what you thought of it in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. I hope y'all have a fantastic day and happy reading. Goodbye. By the way, this is one wall of my dorm room, in case you didn't get that already. And I have also switched to contacts, and I wear glasses on my lab days because I have chem lab on Wednesdays, and so I wear glasses on Wednesdays, but usually other than that I've been wearing contacts, and it's weird. It's a change, but yeah, little update at the end.